Hey, Corey, my man, it's so nice to have you on the show today. How are you doing?
Fantastic. Thanks for having me. Looking forward to our time together.
Beautiful, beautiful, and thank you so very much for being here. And you see, my man, oftentimes I love to thank my guest for two things, and I do this so often to the point where it has become my anthem. So, firstly, I want to say thank you so very much, Corey, for investing in yourself. You see, you are on this platform right now because you did invest it in yourself. And oftentimes, my man, I love to make reference to the amazing mango tree. You see, some couple of months back, yeah, I was on a particular road, and just by the roadside, Curry, there was this very tall, unattractive mango tree. And I use the word unattractive because the mango tree's got no mangoes on it, and the leaves were all dry. So I just walked past it and I went my way. But you see, Curry, just recently, I was on that same road. And this time around, a lot's changed about the mango tree. The mango tree caught my attention pretty good from a distance. And immediately, I got the urge to move so close to it, of which I did. And it wowed me. Because now, the mango tree's got a lot of mangoes on it, beautiful green leaves and healthy branches, and not just mangoes, Gary, I'm talking about ripe mangoes. It was such a beautiful experience that day. I was so excited. Here is my point. You see, the fact that you dedicated your time, energy, and resources to becoming the amazing Corey that you are today, that alone has made it really impossible for me to say no to you. And getting to read a little bit about you, the beautiful stuff that you're doing, your insight, your philosophies, how you're offering your solution, the impact your work is having, these stuffs are beautiful. So I've got to say thank you so very much for doing that to yourself. And secondly, thank you for being here.
Thank you very much. Thanks for this first time I've ever been compared to a mango tree. So I feel completely honored and appreciate just that vivid imagery that you laid out for us.
Beautiful, my man. So let's get started. You see, I'm quite excited to have you on the show today, Corey, for two reasons. Firstly, my interest in knowledge seeking. I believe in order for one to transition from a terrible situation to that of a beautiful one, I believe it takes the application of knowledge, quality information, and not just knowledge now, but the application of it. And you see, my man, ever since I discovered that light in the Hebrew language means knowledge, and darkness ignorance. I've been so keen to knowledge seeking. Why? Because I do not want to remain in the dark. So that's going to make our conversation today very important to me and even to you, the amazing listeners. And the second reason why I'm excited to have the amazing Corey on the show is for the sake of the audience. You see, my man, we live in an age where information is as abundant as grains of sand. We've got lots of information flying out there. So these folks trust me for quality, eye-opening, and very important information, of which I am totally convinced, my man, that our conversation is going to be insightful and impactful. So, for that reason, Corey, let's get started with your introduction. Talk to us about your personal or your professional journey, because right now we are so curious. We want to know how Corey got here. Then afterwards, I've gotten some beautiful questions for you. Okay, my man, over to you.
Fantastic. Later this month, I'll celebrate my third decade in healthcare, completing 30 years in the healthcare industry. I
Wow.
got my start as a bedside nurse's aide, which at that time was the highest paying job that you get as a college dropout, which I was. And I just fell in love with taking care of people and was just amazed that I could actually make a living out of this. And so I went to nursing school. I worked my way through nursing school, ultimately getting my licensed practical nurse and then my registered nurse. And then I really spent the next 20 to 25 years, both inside and outside of healthcare. Like you, I'm kind of an experiential entrepreneur. I just want to get as much experience as I possibly can. And fast forward, I landed back in healthcare full time in a leadership role and discovered that my greatest opportunity wasn't just delivering care to a few patients, but it was helping lead those that were delivering care. And so now I'm the executive vice president of a hospital. I'm responsible for leading over 1,500 people. I've got 8 directors that report to me, that I really pour all of my time, effort, and energy into making them the best version of themselves, so we can ultimately cascade and take great care of patients. And so that's the real quick version of my career. And kind of what brought me here today is really wanting to share what I've learned along the way with other people, hopefully prevent them from having to step into some of the same potholes and drive down some of the same rough roads that I did to get here. Maybe I can provide them a shortcut or two.
Beautiful, man. And what you just said now, the last part, that that's actually one of the qualities of a true leader. And I love that about you. You said the stuff you went through, you don't want others to go through it. So now they should learn from your lessons and your experiences. That's a beautiful one. And you also mentioned helping people become the best version of themselves. Wow, I love that. I love that. So thank you for the wonderful stuff you're doing. So we're going to begin first with this one. All right. So what are the 5 components of your framework for leadership success?
Yeah. So the first 3 are about people, and we'll get started right on those. The very first one is about developing people. To me, the greatest legacy that you can leave an organization is being sure that the people are better versions of themselves, as we've already talked about. And so pour yourselves into developing people. The next one is one that's probably a little bit more uncomfortable to talk about, but it's about managing performance, being sure that people are meeting the expectations. It's setting those expectations, and then it's also being prepared to have conversations when people are falling short, what that looks like. And the goal is always to help them, figure this out, but sometimes it means that you may just have to move in different direction. And the third one is kind of taking those first 2 pieces together of developing people, managing performance. And this one's about building teams. How do you get people with different backgrounds and different life experiences? How do you get them all rowing in the same direction as many days in a row as possible? And so those are the 3 components about people. And the last 2 that we're going to talk about are real. These are the ones that often people are hired or fired because of, but sometimes they're too much of a focus of leaders. That's improving operations. Simply put, making the work that you do better than when you got it. How do you just make it easier for those that follow? And then the last one is achieving results. Ultimately, if you want to keep your job long term, if you want to be successful, whatever that definition is, generally people will judge you by the results that you're able to achieve. I always say the first one is the best way to leave a legacy. The last part of this framework is the best way to stay employed or win, whatever that may be in your life. So those are the 5 parts of the leadership success framework that I've developed. And really, they were developed over the course of my leadership journey. It didn't come to me in a dream in the middle of the night. It came from me through a lot of experiences.
Beautiful, beautiful. And that's so true because true leaders, they don't just invest in buildings, they invest in people. I got that. I got that. So this framework sounds really powerful and effective. But other than this framework, what are the keys to leadership? Got it?
Yeah, I think the key to leadership is really a painful level of self-awareness. Now, we talk about self-awareness all the time, but I'm talking about a painful level of self-awareness. For example, not all the things that you do well, but also the things you don't do well and why you don't do them well. So my own personal journey is I've been very, very fortunate to have a stepfather in my life, most of my life, but my father was missing. And I had to unpack the fact that a lot of times the things that I was doing that was driving me towards success was actually motivated out of me needing to prove him wrong or make him feel bad for not being part of my life. Now the positive is that I've been highly driven, but it's also important for me to know why I'm that way and be sure that the system of checks and balances doesn't get too far out of control, because knowing that that's one of my internal drivers, it's important that I'm honest with myself about when that is maybe driving the ship a little bit more than I want to. So I'd say there's one thing that you can do, just have a painful level of self-awareness. That doesn't come overnight. That comes through just, why did I respond that way? Why did I get mad? Why did I have that emotion? Why didn't I respond? Why did I ignore that person? Why did that make me feel uncomfortable? You just have to really analyze yourself completely. And once you get through that journey, it's uncomfortable. You'll understand yourself better and be able to manage your emotions and be better at relationships.
I got that. Painful level of self-awareness. I got that. Seeing the impact your work is having and how experienced you are, I believe there is something that is so inevitable, which is challenges, hard times.
Mhm.
So how are you able to overcome those tough moments?
Yeah, I think kind of back to the painful levels of self-awareness, I have to be sure that I keep myself out of it. We all have egos, and sometimes people say, oh, I don't have an ego. That's actually more dangerous than someone who says, I have a large ego, because we all have egos. So when you're coming up against these challenges, you have to be sure that you set yourself aside and that you really can focus on the problem at hand. And I often tell people we need to focus on facts, not feelings. Feelings aren't always facts, yet they do deserve a level of validation. And so by the first thing, taking yourself out of the equation when you encumber these challenges, it helps you kind of take your own emotion out of it. And now you can be a little bit more objective as you work through each piece of the challenge. And a lot of times we'll try to start with the most difficult part of the challenge first. Don't pick low-hanging fruit. I tell people it's a lot easier to pick a watermelon off of a vine than it is to climb a tree and maybe pull down the highest mango. So look at what the easy parts of the challenges are and work from easy to hard. That way you can get a little bit of momentum and work through these challenges.
Awesome. I love that. So we have two more to go. Okay, let's say if I was a brand new leader, okay, then what is the short and simple advice you would give me?
Invest in yourself every day. Have to continue to work towards gathering that knowledge and education, just like you talked about at the very beginning. It's really important. And it might just be a YouTube video. It might be a podcast like this. It might just be finding something that can fill your bucket every day. Too many people, once they get done with their educational journey, just stop learning. And that's a travesty. That means that only the first, 25% of our lives can we learn and grow. That doesn't make sense. I think that we learn and grow the entire spectrum of our lives. So just invest every day in watch videos, listens to podcasts, and especially if you've gathered that painful levels of self-awareness, then be sure you start with the areas where you know that you have the most self-identified growth opportunity.
I got that. That's profound, and thank you for sharing that. There are thousands of articles and podcasts on leadership. What do you think makes leadership so difficult?
I alluded to it in one of the other answers that I gave, but essentially leadership is imperfect people leading imperfect people trying to get perfect results. Now, you don't have to be
Hmm.
a math major to know that that's an extremely difficult proposition. And so we all come with our own experiences and baggage and perspectives and personas. And so when you put that together, it ends up being like mixing oil and water more often than it does, two compatible chemicals. So I think that you just have to be aware that the equation is difficult and really set against us. Imperfection plus imperfection needs to equal perfection or at least greatness. That's a tough equation, which means leadership is always going to be challenging, very challenging.
Very challenging. Wow, I got that. And now I see why you're so good at what you do. I tell you. But there's this part I'm curious about, okay? So how do you manage your teams effectively? Like bringing the best out of them?
Yeah. One of the things that I think is a misnomer, and sometimes people say, "Hey, you establish your leadership, kind of the way that you do things, and be sure that you're following that with every single person." I think that that's a trap. Um, people are multidimensional, and your job as a leader is to figure out what motivates each person individually. What sort of things can you say to them? What sort of things can't you say to them? So let me give an example. I have a couple people on my team that if I use the word disappointed, it will really drive action from them. Yet there's other people on my team who need me to say, I think this might make me mad. And so they're motivated a little bit different. And others are like, I'm thinking that we're falling short. I expected more from our team. Now, some people might say, Jesus, is that manipulative? It's not. It's speaking the language of the people that you're leading so you can get the response that you need. Now, the only way to get there is to know them. And so that's 1 hour meetings every month where I ask them questions about what keeps them up at night and what's going well and what's not working well and how can I help and how can I be a support to you? How can I help you become a better leader? It's really a series of all of that so you can understand and customize your leadership to each individual person that you're leading.
Wow, Corey, that's so smart of you. I tell you, I've just learned something new. Thank you for sharing that. Amazing. I love that. I love that. Thank you. Thank you. So to bring this to an end, my man, what would you like to leave the audience with, like a final thought? And to those folks who would like to reach out to you, learn more about the beautiful things you're doing, or even ask you questions, how can that be possible?
Yeah, I would say the thing that I would tell people is, you are not yet the best version of yourself. I'm not yet the best version of myself, and I probably never will achieve my full potential. And maybe that sounds sad, but here's what I'm willing to do and what I would ask your listeners to do is constantly pursue becoming the best version of yourself. I'm going to do everything I can to try to meet my maximum potential. And in the effort of doing that, there's a saying that says, pursue perfection and you'll catch excellence along the way. I don't think I said that exactly right. But that's sort of what we're saying is just constantly try to become the best version of yourself. And if you do that, great things will happen. You'll learn great things. You'll probably have some failures along the way, but you also have some fantastic, exciting successes. And so kind of what we're talking about is really what I like to do. I don't have a program or a product. I wrote a book, which people can find that on Amazon. But really, if people just want to connect in a conversation with me, I just encourage them to send me an email. They can go to my website, which is CoreyGeffre.com. It's my first name, last name.com. Pretty easy to find. The name of the book is Lead Your People. That's the best way to connect. I just want to have conversations with people that serve. It's why I love doing these podcasts, just to get the information out to completely different groups of people. So again, once again, I want to thank you for allowing me to be on your show today and maybe present something interesting to some of your listeners.
Amazing, my man, and thank you so very much. So that's gonna be the end of the show, Corey. Thank you for coming, and thank you for opening our eyes to this wonderful stuff. I tell you, thank you.
Thanks a lot.
That was a beautiful